You ever have one of those days where a complete stranger decides they're the main character and you're just supposed to play along? Well, picture this. I'm halfway out of my parking spot, reverse lights glowing, when a luxury SUV screeches right behind me and starts flashing its headlights like I'm her personal valet. What she didn't know was that I had all the time in the world and zero intention of being bullied, and the petty revenge that followed. Chef's kiss. If you've ever dealt with entitled people who think the world revolves around them, hit that like button and subscribe. Because this right here, this is one of the most unexpectedly satisfying petty revenge moments I've had in years. Let's get into it. All right, so it starts on a regular weekday afternoon. I'm sitting in my pickup truck in the parking lot of that big blue grocery store. You know the one with a little spark on the logo. I had just run in to grab some cleaning supplies. Nothing crazy. I work in construction, had been on site since sunrise, and honestly, I was exhausted. Sore muscles, dusty clothes, boots that felt like they weighed 50 pounds each. The whole deal. But it was a good kind of tired. That peaceful end of the day feeling where you're in no rush. That's important, because the woman I was about to meet, she lived in the opposite world. A world made of rush, entitlement, and an unwillingness to wait even 6 seconds. So there I am. I get in my truck, close the door with that heavy thud, exhale, and put the key in. The engine rumbles awake, and I shift into reverse. I glance at my mirrors, clear. I check behind me, still clear. I ease back maybe 6 inches, tops. A white luxury Audi SUV swings into the lane behind me like she's trying to win pole position in Formula One. She stops 5 feet behind my tailgate. 5 feet. Right in my blind spot, right in the path of my truck, and immediately starts flashing her headlights at me. Like I messed up her day. I sit there for a second, confused. At first, I think maybe she just didn't see my reverse lights. I mean, it happens. So I gesture in my mirror like, hey, I'm backing out, give me a second. But instead of backing up or going around, because she easily could have, this lady slams her palm on her steering wheel and starts honking. Repeatedly, sharp, angry blasts. At that point, my confusion flips into that warm little spark of annoyance in your chest. You know the one, where you feel your eyebrows lower and your jaw sets just a little tighter. I think to myself, really? You couldn't wait or drive around or do literally anything else but act like the parking lot police? But I stay calm. Reverse lights are still on. I'm giving her the chance to act like a human being. Instead, she leans out her window, waves her arm in that frustrated hurry, up motion, and honks again. Now here's the thing. In my early 20s, I might have snapped, yelled, gotten into some stupid argument. But now, after years in construction, dealing with inspectors, difficult clients, chaotic deadlines, I've learned patience. I've learned to take my time. And most importantly, I've learned to recognize when someone desperately wants control. So I made a very simple decision. I stopped reversing, shifted the truck back into park, took my foot off the brake, and sat there. Just sat, staring at her through my mirror, calm, unbothered. Reverse lights still glowing like a giant LED middle finger. 1 minute goes by, then another 30 seconds. She's stuck. I'm stuck. But the funniest part? Behind her. 2 more cars are waiting because she blocked the entire row. And she's the reason no one can move. Her face grows red. She honks again. Longer this time. Angrier, like leaning on the horn will magically teleport my truck out of her way. Meanwhile, I'm in my cab like, lady, if you think noise is gonna rush me, you truly don't know men who work 10-hour manual labor shifts. My heart rate didn't even budge. My emotional tank was empty. I simply didn't care. She could have just driven forward and taken any of the perfectly open spots right in front of her, but no, she wanted mine. She wanted the spot 20 feet closer to the entrance. That tiny bit of convenience was apparently worth acting like a parking lot tyrant. Finally, she peels out of the lane, whipping her Audi into a spot a few spaces down. Tires screeching like she's auditioning for Fast and Furious. PTA edition. I put my truck back into park and lean back laughing. Not mocking, just genuinely amused at how dramatic she made the whole situation. A second later, I see her storming out of her SUV. She slams the door, clutches a plastic bag of what looks like clothes, and starts speed walking toward the store entrance. On her way past me, she shoots me a look, not just a glare, a death stare with extra seasoning. She looked like she wanted to yell something but couldn't find the words. So instead, she just tightened her lips and strutted past. And me? I just smiled, lifted a hand, and gave her the slowest, most polite little wave. That wave made her shoulders tense up so hard, I swear I heard her spine crack from inside my truck. And here's the petty part, the part that made this whole thing beautifully symmetrical. I didn't leave. I stayed right where I was, truck parked, reverse lights off now, just scrolling Reddit, decompressing, enjoying the free entertainment. 5 minutes later, guess who comes jogging back out? And she is not thrilled. She sees me still sitting there, and for a moment, just a moment, we lock eyes. It's like a silent showdown. A stare-off in the middle of the most mundane place on earth, a grocery store parking lot. She looks confused, then irritated, then embarrassed, probably replaying everything in her head, realizing she made a fool of herself. And the guy she tried to bully is still parked exactly where he was. She climbs into her SUV, slams the door again, and peels out of the lot like she can outrun the humiliation. Me? I just shook my head, laughing harder than I should have. Not because it ruined her day, but because sometimes the universe sends you tiny little moments of justice. Moments where entitlement collapses under its own weight. Moments where doing nothing is the funniest and most effective revenge. And the truth is, I didn't set out to punish her. I was ready to leave. But she tried to force me into her schedule, her urgency, her world. And I just refused, peacefully, quietly, and with a kind of pettiness that felt almost therapeutic. Because sometimes the most satisfying revenge isn't loud. It's the kind where the other person realizes they weren't actually in control. They weren't above you. They weren't intimidating. They were just wrong. The payoff wasn't just the stare down. It was the realization on her face. Those few confused seconds where she realized, wait, he didn't rush. He didn't cave. He didn't even leave. That moment where her illusion of power cracked, where entitlement met a brick wall of indifference, where a tiny bit of karma showed up in the form of a dusty construction worker who simply wasn't in a hurry. That was perfection. Simple, clean, and deeply, deeply satisfying. Look, I don't go around trying to make people miserable. Life's too short. But when someone demands control over you, treats you like you're beneath them, or tries to bully their way into convenience, sometimes the best revenge is showing them they picked the wrong target. If this story gave you even a tiny spark of satisfaction, hit that like button. Tell me in the comments, what's the most petty, harmless revenge you've ever pulled off? And don't forget to subscribe for more stories just like this. Thanks for listening, and remember, stay patient, but don't let anyone push you around.